So here's a few exercises now in the upright position. Again, we're training this idea of dissociating the scapula from the humerus. So I want my arm, my shoulder, glenohumeral joint to be able to move in a lot of different directions and not have my scapula uh, have some sort of dyskinesia, and we want to maintain that posterior tip and proper upward rotation depending on range we're in. So the idea is now I'm in standing. I'm going to go into that posterior tip, right? I've worked on positioning with the patient. They can do this well. And now from here with some resistance, I can go into external rotation. And I can do this, this is definitely going to build some strength in the external rotators, but also I'm just focusing on scapular positioning. Can the patient maintain that position while their arms are moving? So now the next step of this is you're maintaining that position. I'm going into external rotation, and now I can come up into scaption. So this gets a lot harder. I'm coming in and out into external rotation like so, and it gets a little harder. Now sometimes I'll do partial reps because maybe the farther away they get, they start to lose that position. So maybe I stop them midway. Remember, the further away the arm gets, the more leverage it has against the body. But also this sort of pulling outward, it's going to maintain activation of the rotator cuff and help cue the middle and lower traps as well. So I can go into that position. The next step, again, I start the same way, external rotation, scaption, and now I go backwards into horizontal abduction. I can really accentuate the middle traps and the lower traps. So you can see I'm sort of going through this pattern here, out into scaption, back into horizontal abduction. Beware of this move, right? I'm maintaining the posterior tip. The last version of this exercise is to come out into external rotation. And then as I go up into scaption, instead of just stopping here, I go a little bit higher. Now, bear in mind, you're not going to be able to maintain that position once you start to go up above 90 degrees. There's got to be a little bit of upward rotation. So what you're cueing here is not elevation. So have your patient understand that as they rotate here, they maintain the posterior tip. They can pretty much maintain it up to about here. And as they go up a little higher, it's going to be more difficult. Watch for a thoracic extension substitution and elevation, but they come up here. Again, they're maintaining tension on that band, and then they come back down to follow that same pattern. So there's a lot of work going on. I'm actually getting tired doing this. A lot of work in the posterior periscapular muscles. My rotator cuff is working. One more thing I should mention is that as you're coming up into horizontal abduction, I don't know if I did a good job of this before, maintain external rotation. So the thumbs point backwards. Don't let the thumbs tip forward. This is going to be more rotator cuff activation, getting all these muscles to work at the same time. I just wanted to mention that. So all these different variations. Now, similar to what we said before, if these are too difficult with a band, dump the band and just work on with the weight of the arm. Scapular positioning while the patient is just learning to dissociate, activate the lower trap while their arm is doing all these different ranges of motion. And that should help cue those muscles to work in real life, any kind of functional motion that they're doing with the upper extremity.